Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I'm so excited for our fourth season. We have a wonderful guest, Khanisa Darby. Khanisa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We are so excited. We kind of stumbled across your business because we were filming in Easton and we needed a snack and we parked right outside your business and it looked delicious. And we stopped back and got an order for ourselves. I brought stuff home to my kids. Everybody was thrilled. So tell us about Khanisa's Desserts and then we'll hear a little bit more about your journey.
Sure. So Khanisa's Desserts is basically a pudding-based novelty dessert company. We make all different types of pudding, but with the banana pudding concept of layering with like cookies or cake, which banana pudding is more of a Southern dessert, I would say. That's normally layered with like lady fingers and a lot of times vanilla wafer cookies. So that's what we use to get that classic taste. And then we also bake a lot of our items in-house, fresh daily. So we have like a sweet potato pie, peach cobbler. We also do a warm apple crumb. That's like a really cool play on apple pie. Not as traditional though. So we do a lot of just adding your favorite desserts with pudding and different variations.
Well, it's delicious. I can attest to that. Everyone loved it. We couldn't decide. We were like, we just kept ordering. So many variations. But before you got into this, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And, what kind of kid were you?
So I'm actually from East Orange, New Jersey. I love to cook. I wouldn't really call myself a foodie back then. I think I'm more of a foodie now, especially with everything that's going on. I feel like food kind of brings comfort, but you want to be careful with that. But I always loved food, and I began cooking at 11 years old. 2002, I was around 12 when I moved to Pennsylvania, and I attended Brocco Middle School in Bethlehem. And then I also went to
that's right around the corner, right over the hill from us. So yeah. Brocco's an amazing place, and it's cool to see what's happened with the South Side, isn't it?
Yes, it's such a change. It's like a total 360, yeah. But it's great.
What was that like for you, though? I mean, I actually spent some time in West Orange, and I'm from New Jersey myself, so I know that in some ways there are a lot of similarities, but in a lot of ways it's different. I mean, in 12, oh my gosh, that's such a difficult time to make a move. So what was that like for you?
Honestly, it was really a big shock for me at 12 years old. And I would definitely say a culture shock because East Orange, like West Orange, especially northern New Jersey, is a little more diverse. So I really did see a lot of students that looked like me, but everyone was like really nice. And so it was different, kind of getting used to that. And then going into my teenage years, it's a lot more I want to say slow out here as far as like parties and things like that. So that was different. It was different from the city to here, but I like the peace and quiet. I like, sitting on my porch or my backyard, just in the grass studying. It was definitely a shift at 12 years old, but I appreciated it a lot, especially getting older and going into culinary.
You mentioned culinary and having kind of a love of food, even though you would say you weren't necessarily a foodie. How did you follow that? I mean, what was next for you with culinary? I know sometimes, kids will learn from a family member or they'll take a cooking class or, they just experiment. My daughter asks me all the time to buy all of these ingredients because she's constantly seeing Instagram stories of things to try and she just wants to experiment. So what was your journey with that?
I cooked a lot. When I was 11 years old, I lived with my dad and my brother. My dad, he definitely comes from a Southern family. Our family's from Georgia, so there's a lot of big meals, a lot of breads and heavy foods. So we definitely ate pretty well. And at a young age, I started to cook dinner. I started out cooking breakfast, so it was more like eggs, pancakes, stuff that's really fun. And then once I got into high school, I was like, making 3-course meals. So as far as school was involved, when I got to high school, I took like home ec. And then at Liberty High School, I did half days at the vocational school in Bethlehem. So they have a really rigorous culinary program. They teach you commercial cooking, commercial baking, hospitality. It's like a really well-rounded education. So I learned a lot of techniques from there as well. So I
That's
just
pretty
kind of,
amazing. Like in high
yeah,
school. Yeah.
through your education, just home ec and everything kind of prepared you for that. It's like kind of sad you see home ec going away a little bit, but I think it's a great
I
thing.
totally agree with you. It's funny. My kind of home ec experience was that my mom worked full time, and she used to have this great system. There were four girls in the house. I was the oldest, so I was in charge of the oven, I guess,
Right.
because I was the oldest. And she used to leave some sort of protein out defrosting in the morning with instructions, and we would get home first, and one sister would empty the dishwasher and somebody else would make the
Right.
salad, and I used to
Right.
put the protein. But subsequently, I really only learned to make fairly simple meals at home. I
Hmm.
mean, it's fine, it's pretty healthy eating, but I always
Right.
wish that I had had a little bit more experience. It's such an important life skill.
And but you know what? I love that now all the information is like right at your fingertips. So if you like, I'll think of salmon, but I'm just tired of eating it the same way I always eat it. I'll look up a recipe and you can find so many different variations of, proteins that you normally eat. And it kind of, you learn techniques just from reading other people's blogs. And so I love that part of it. You can kind of really elevate as a home cook these days.
Very good point. Well, speaking of elevating, you decided not to follow your dreams early on with culinary, even though you had some of this training in high school.
Right.
You actually went a totally different direction. So tell us about that.
I guess maybe most people would say I was a little indecisive when I was in high school. I was very interested in culinary, but I knew that it would be a lot of hard work at first. So, you always hear about becoming a sous chef where you're chopping all the vegetables and your hours are really long when everyone's celebrating with their family. You're cooking for them, the holidays, it's a big sacrifice. So, I kind of made my decision to go into dentistry based off the fact that I felt I could always cook and I could always circle back to that. And it's funny that I did because I really wasn't planning to. But I love both fields. But I like the uniformity of just having a normal day where I can have weekends off or, just like a 9 to 5 type of schedule. But now I'm not doing that at all. So
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I want to hear a little bit about how you took a decade in the dental field and completely transformed your life with Khanissa's Desserts and what you're doing now. So we'll learn more about that,
yeah.
and also what it is to be a woman of color in an entrepreneurial field and running your own business. We're gonna get all of that and more with Khanisa when we come back with Unscripted with Russo. As a mother of two, I know it can be tough to find activities that everyone will enjoy. Luckily, the Lehigh Valley has so many ways to treat your family without breaking the bank. You can experience cool discoveries at the Da Vinci Science Center or all aboard the WKNS Railroad train for an afternoon adventure. There's fun around every corner of the Lehigh Valley, and you can uncover it all on Discover Lehigh Valley's website. Visit discoverlehighvalley.com for more information. Hey everybody, welcome back to Unscripted with Russo. I'm Ashley Russo, and my guest today is Khanisa Darby of Khanisa's Desserts. Khanisa, it's so good to have you here with us.
Thank
We've
you.
heard a little bit about her journey, her love of cooking, her kind of culinary background in high school, and then she went a totally different direction and went into the dental field. So Khanisa, you mentioned a little bit earlier about wanting that regularity and sort of, which makes sense. I mean, it's sort of a smart decision, and you did that for 10 years. What was it that prompted you to want to change in your life?
It was really, I want to say the slow progression. I'm just going to be honest. I know these days you'll hear a lot of people say the younger generations, they want things to happen overnight. I just really didn't see the value for me at the time when I left. I was 26 and my office manager then was like 75. She's in great shape, by the way. It was just, wow, would I really have to work that long, work that hard to be able to just afford to relax, later on in life. And so it was just the day to day. I feel like it was pulling at me. Like, this is not what you're supposed to do. And then, when you get into a field, you hear all the gripes. So dentists have a lot of like the drill issues with their ear, chiropractors are probably a dentist's favorite doctor.
Well, it's funny. I mean, there are pros and cons to every field, and you're right. The deeper you get in, the more you realize. And I sort of always say to my kids, listen, you're going to have to pay your dues in any field you go into. There'll be hard work,
Right.
there'll be work that doesn't feel like you're being rewarded. But at the same time, you had to have had something inside of you, like a little voice or something that was telling you you were supposed to be or meant to be doing something different and using your skills and voice in a different way. I just feel like having met you and seen your business, there's something more to it. So I do want to talk a little bit about what that more is. So we talked about
Right.
what it is, right? It's awesome
Right.
desserts and sort of the inspiration, pudding bar. People think, how could you have a pudding bar? But let me tell you, it's a
Yeah.
very extensive menu. I'm sure if you're watching the video version, you will be seeing a beautiful menu that is so extensive and amazing and uses fresh fruits and all different bases and sweets. And it's really good. But
Right.
there's something more to your business. There's something
Right.
else there. So tell me, what is that something else and where did that come from?
So the shift definitely was like the first thing that pulled us to kind of think, okay, this is not what we're going to do. We do want to become entrepreneurs. But the whole pudding, it kind of just happened. Banana pudding is one of my favorite desserts. But it was something that you only got on like Thanksgiving or like Christmas. It wasn't something that you could just buy like chocolate cake. So one day my sister asked me to make it for a barbecue, and I made it, and people were like hiding it. They were taking big scoops of it, hiding it in bowls to take with
I
them
love that.
later.
That's when
So
you know
that
you're
was
onto something, right? When people are hiding the food like in their
right.
purses or around the corner because they want more. I have to say
Right.
I have done that on occasion.
Like, let me get a few extra just for later.
I want this for later.
Right. So that was the first indication. And then the second, I have a really large family on my mother's side, and we had a family reunion, barbecue, same situation, but someone actually hid the rest of the dessert. It was like half of a tray like left. And everyone was looking for it, and we found it like tucked away in a cooler. Someone tried to hide it. So my husband, being in sales and marketing, he was like, this must be really good. I think we should, try to pursue it. So the first thing he did was created a Facebook page, and I posted like a trifle bowl, and it was glass so you could see right into it. And everyone just really gravitated towards the photo. It looks so good. How can I get some? And we started getting orders through our Facebook page. So we started out, it was more so trying to make sure people enjoyed it. We learned a lot about the flavor profile, what customers are allergic to and what they aren't. And it kind of helped us shape what you see today. So it was definitely like a
It was
study.
so grassroots, really, right? Like it was just
Right.
organic. You're at a barbecue, people love it. You post a pic, your husband's, sales and marketing. You mentioned your husband. Tell me a little bit about that because you guys are in business together.
Right.
Um, Tell me about your two roles and how you split duties. And I grew up with parents who worked together, actually.
Okay.
So, and people would always say to me, so they work together, they live together. Like, how does that work for your family? And
Yeah.
it actually, I think that they would divide based on their skill set. So how does that work for you and your husband?
It's definitely a challenge, just to you kind of walk that fine line between business and the personal. He does all of our graphic arts. He was in sales and marketing, so he does all of our ads. He does all our designs when you come into our shop. The photos, everything is his photography. So when it comes to sales, accounts, even baking, he has to do to help me sometimes. So sometimes we cross paths, but for the most part, I handle, the day to day, the food safety, as well as the baking. And he does all of our marketing and sales and accounts and
You
all of that
mentioned
stuff.
learning, going from that Facebook post to starting to take orders and just learning what customers wanted and learning about flavor profiles. And what was the hardest thing in those early days? What was the hardest part of being an entrepreneur for you?
It was definitely the access to capital. We had to bootstrap the whole thing. So it was just hand over fist, selling and reinvesting back into your business. And that makes it really difficult if you don't really have the funds to allocate it. It just makes everything fall on you. So we spread ourselves very thin for about it's been 4 years. So the opening of the pudding bar was like a real turnaround for us in the business. So of course, with the pandemic coming, that was another challenge. But we're up to it. We've been through challenges this whole time. So
Yeah, you mentioned the pandemic, and of course, we met during that as we were out filming. And
right.
what have you done to sort of survive this time? Have you had any pivots or epiphanies or changes that maybe you wouldn't have taken or done had this not happened?
The irony of it is just so crazy because we had been a takeout model all the way up until we opened the pudding bar, which was August of last year. So to have to pivot back to that when we opened this big store, it was like more of a dessert restaurant kind of style where you come in, we're waiting on tables, nice silverware and glasses that we're serving you in, just to go back to takeout containers. So that was a little disheartening, but it was like, okay, well, we did this for 3 years. It worked. We've grown, we've put in a lot of work, and it actually helped us just being open. And we also never closed because I think it was the governor that didn't make restaurants close right away, but we just couldn't have people coming in. We changed our model completely. So we just set up the front really nice so that you could come to the door and order, or you could order over the phone. And then we also added online ordering to our website, which was new as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of cool that you already knew the model. You just had to revert back to it. What have you found as a woman of color, as a couple of color, in the workplace, in the Lehigh Valley, building a business? Are there unique challenges that you face that you would want to use as sort of inspiration for other people who might be considering how they go out there and do this?
Yeah, I think access to capital is a huge thing, especially for people of color. I have to commend the Lehigh Valley, honestly, because we have some great customers. It's very diverse here. Everyone's so inclusive. So with the Main Street Initiative and the Greater Easton Development Partnership, they have a lot of things in place to like really help small businesses, just as long as you can get in contact with them if they don't know about you. And then they also have Lehigh Valley Score, which is an awesome like mentorship program for small businesses. So I think if you can find the resources here, I know a lot of that is geographical too, because we're from New Jersey. So there's certain areas you can go to where you may not get as much help, or the competition may be even greater because you have a bigger pool. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, but it's definitely difficult to access capital for sure when it comes to traditional loans, when you're just walking in with a great idea, but you may not have everything lined up. It's just kind of like, well, we can't help you. So
Yeah,
that was.
and I've heard that a lot, and I think that it's interesting. I've been on a couple webinars recently with women in particular from all different backgrounds talking about that access to capital. And there are some unique business models, I think, from this pandemic that are being born, that are
Right.
hopefully opening that access a little bit. So I'm glad you're shedding
Yes.
some light on that. Well, you mentioned the Lehigh Valley. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I do want to talk to you about why the Lehigh Valley, why Easton, and some of your favorite things to do around here. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back with Khanisa in just a minute.
Ever wonder what you get when you combine an historical riverside city, high-end dining, entertainment venues, and craft distilleries? The city of Easton, of course. One of my favorite spots is the Easton Public Market, right in the center of it all. But there's a variety of places to choose. Whether you're looking for a park to unwind or a night out with friends, check out Discover Lehigh Valley's website to find all the hot spots in Easton. Visit their website at discoverlehighvalley.com for more information.
All right, everyone, we're back Unscripted with Russo. I am here with Khanisa Darby. She is Khanisa's Desserts in Easton. She and her husband, we shouldn't leave him out. He's an amazing part of the business for sure. Khanisa, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
So we've learned a lot about you today, where you grew up, your affinity for culinary early on. You went into dentistry, you came back, something was eating at you that you were supposed to do something different, and you've created this amazing brand. Your pudding bar is becoming well known. You only opened your brick and mortar last August, pandemic hit. You pivoted back to takeout, and you've got some new stuff coming up for us that we can get excited about through the fall, winter, spring, and what's next. So tell me about the next reinvention of Khanisa's Desserts and Pudding Bar.
customers always raved about our brownies, our waffles, and now we've created our products so that you can take them home with you and prepare them at home. So we'll sell our dessert toppings, which are really popular. Our crumble is like a cookie dessert topping that you can put on anything: yogurt, ice cream, our different variations of waffle
Sounds
mix.
good.
We have like pumpkin waffle mix. So all of that will be on sale where customers can come inside, and it'll be like a boutique shopping experience where you can kind of hang out while you're waiting, try different samples, and listen to some great music. So it should be a fun way to invite everyone back in.
You're located in Easton. And before
Yes.
that, you guys had a cart, I believe, in the Lehigh Valley Mall.
Yes.
And now you're in Easton. Why Easton? You know, you grew up on the south side of Bethlehem. You came to the Lehigh Valley at 12. Tell me about that choice to be in Easton and why that's been a good fit for you.
Easton, we just kind of felt like it had a lot more of a vibrant feel to it, especially at night. And our first brick and mortar, it wasn't open to the public, but we used it as our commercial kitchen, was also based in Easton. So we love the appeal of the downtown, the different events that they have, like Bacon Fest and Heritage Fest or Garlic Fest. It's just a lot happening, which Bethlehem has as well. But it was also hard to find someone that would rent to us because we were young and inexperienced new entrepreneurs. So Easton embraced us, honestly, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, it's such an amazing downtown. It's been really cool to see its growth and transformation over the last decade. And you
Yes.
mentioned, you know, the vibrancy. What are some of your favorite things to do in Easton?
I definitely love the restaurants. Third and Ferry is one of our favorites. Just the different dessert options besides just us. You have ice cream, you have frozen yogurt, you have some bakeries. It's just a nice, well-rounded experience. And then there's a lot of boutiques that you can find different things: metaphysical shops, flower boutiques, the Crayola factory, which is great. And then they have the axe throwing up the street. So I kind of feel like if you visit this one area, you can really have a full day. And even one of our favorite things to do is the riverfront. You can walk across the bridge, you can go hang out by the water, you can work out.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
And you mentioned Crayola, and it's interesting because Easton actually gets quite a few visitors, especially because of the Crayola factory. Do you find that out of town people find you?
Yes, definitely. They'll walk down with their children from the Crayola factory because, it's pudding. You can get shakes, you can get brownies. So I think it's really appealing. And we meet a lot of different people from everywhere. New York, and we've even had customers as far as Boston, Connecticut. At the height of the pandemic, a lot of customers just wanted to get out. So we had more customers driving from further just to try it. So that was fun too.
That is so interesting. That is so interesting. What do you think makes the Lehigh Valley unique? You know, why are you calling this home?
I think for a few reasons. Like I said, definitely the diversity. Growing up here, I saw just the area change from 2002 until now. And I just feel like it's growing even more. So it's kind of like cool that you were here before all the growth, because the Lehigh Valley is really becoming like a destination for a lot of businesses and for people that are looking for homes outside the city. So I feel like it's kind of changing the landscape of the area a little. But I just enjoy everything about it. I enjoy the peace and quiet. I enjoy the non-potholed streets, to be honest.
I always say someone was asking me recently, I said, you know, within really like 15, 20 minutes, you can be at the water, you can be on a mountain, you know, you can be in a city.
Do everything. You have a nightlife where you can, if you like to hang out and mingle, there are so many bars that are like really nice. Like people are friendly, and they're also doing a great job with the pandemic here in Easton as well, with keeping everyone safe. So I just love the whole Lehigh Valley, honestly.
I love it too. So Khanisa, up next is our rapid fire section. These are questions that you have not heard, correct?
Correct.
All right, so no thought. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I have my notes here. If you won the lottery, what's the first thing you would do?
Buy a house.
What is one food you could not live without?
Macaroni and cheese.
Like with all kinds of stuff in it?
I love macaroni and
Anything.
cheese.
I know, it's amazing, right? All right. What actress or which actress would you cast to play you in a movie about your life?
Ooh, I would have to go with Halle Berry.
Ooh, good one.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's
She
a
is
great
awesome.
actress.
If you didn't have the job you have now, what would you be doing instead?
Definitely dentistry, I'm sure. It was like two loves that I had, food and teeth, I guess.
Which is ironic considering you're making desserts.
I hear about that all the time. They're like, now you want to feed everyone sweets, but you wanted to clean it off. It's
I love it. I love it. I always thought that when the dentist would hand out candy, which they don't do nowadays, but they used to when I was a kid.
Yeah, some of them still do. I know someone.
That is funny. All right, last question. Name one person who inspires you.
Oh, there's so many.
Well, you can name a few then.
Top of my list would have to be Oprah, because just her journey from coming from so much, and then at this point of her career, she's still doing more elevating. I think that's awesome. And I'll pick one more. I would have to say Tyler Perry. Just hearing about his story about being homeless for so many years, and then how many years it took him to like actually get a line around the corner. I think he said it was 7 years. And then he had all those movies come out. I thought he made it. And then he opened a huge studio. So I just love to see the constant progression where you think someone, you know, you can't go any higher, but that's when they kind of show you that sky's the limit. And it's really an inspiration. It kind of keeps you dreaming.
I totally agree. I think those are wonderful examples. And it is so great to know in every step of your journey, there's something else that could potentially be amazing around the corner. So,
right. And they do a lot of philanthropy. And I think that's huge, because it's kind of like, I have all these things I want to do to help, but you have to earn the means to be able to do it. So it all goes hand in hand. And I kind of like that. They do so much giving back. So.
Well, Khanisa, that is certainly at the heart of what we try to do, and we know it's at the heart of what you are building. So we're so grateful to have you as a part of the Lehigh Valley. We want to let people know Khanisa's Desserts or Pudding Bar in downtown Easton. And of course, you can find them on Facebook, online. They take orders, they do takeout. Think of them for your next holiday, your next family meal, just for fun on a Wednesday night. Who knows? But Khanisa, it's been awesome getting to know you. You're really a gift to our community. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I love your show.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening. Until next time, be well. This is Unscripted with Russo.